The opinions expressed during this show are not necessarily those of this station's, its employees, or advertisers, but are solely the opinions of the host and the guests that appear on the show. It's time now for Tea Party Talk with TomZ, hosted by Tom Zawistowski, president of the We the People Convention and executive director of the Portage County Tea Party. Get ready to become a totally engaged American who is informed about the critical issues that are affecting the welfare and individual rights of all Americans today.
S&K Asphalt and Concrete has been serving residential, commercial, and industrial customers since 1988 with quality paving services. The experts at S&K Asphalt and Concrete have the knowledge and experience to meet your paving needs. From parking lots to driveways to repairs and resurfacing, S&K paves the way. Call today for a free estimate. 330-724-9090. That's 330-724-9090. Or visit online at skasphaltconcrete.com.
Are you concerned about your family's safety? Now, Target Thing Pro Shop is a female-friendly gun shop, range, and training center. Target Thing is in Garrettsville. We're on the web at targetthing.com. Target Thing is where they offer guns, ammo, and training to help you keep your family safe. Target Thing Pro Shop.
Fed up with politicians who care more about special interests than people on Main Street? So is Opportunity Ohio. We're working hard to solve Ohio's toughest challenges so Ohioans can create more jobs to grow our economy. See our plans and consider a tax-deductible contribution at opportunityohio.org. Invest $25 for a signed copy of Matt Mayer's book, The Founding Debate, Where Should the Power Over Our Lives Reside? Please visit opportunityohio.org.
Good morning, and thank you for joining us on Tea Party Talk with Tom Z, especially those of you who join us while we stream the live video of the show on Wednesday mornings at 10:30 as we record the show at teapartytalkwithtomz.com. And thanks to all of you who are listening on the radio on Saturday mornings at 9 o'clock from 9 to 9:30 on 640 WHLO in Akron, Ohio, with its monster signal that covers 66% of the states, or 66 of the 88 counties in Ohio, plus parts of Michigan, Indiana, and western Pennsylvania. Thanks to all of you, and all of you who listen on iHeartRadio at www.640whlo.com, which, by the way, we are our show is the most listened to show on this station on weekends on iHeartRadio. So welcome to all of you listening around the country in Colorado, Florida, Texas, places where we know we have listeners. Today is Earth Day, at least the day we're recording this on Wednesday, and I want to make a comment about that, kind of going a little mini rant here. Did you know that Earth Day is also the birthday of the Soviet leader Vladimir, Ilyich Stalin, that this is actually a political day. The Earth Day has nothing to do with the environment, folks. It has to do with politics, all right? It was designed to attack American industry. It was designed to create to mislead you our listeners, particularly the young people, that that America is evil, we're bad, and that and particularly that industry is bad. The fact of the matter is, that our air is cleaner than it's ever been. Our water is cleaner than it's ever been. And no country has done more to reduce pollution than the United States of America. But that's not enough, right? Because they're not really about the environment. And I guess, if you're out there listening and you're one of these people who really believes in the environment and we have to protect the environment and really have gone to the extreme where the environment is more important than people, let me ask you this question. The environmental left are the same people who tell us that, they believe in evolution, and that we crazy religious people who believe in God's hand having something to do with, with mankind, they say that we're the people who really don't understand and believe in science. Well, guess what evolution is about, folks? Evolution is about survival of a species. Evolution is about, survival of the fittest. And yet, what do the people in the environmental movement always try to do? They try to stop evolution, don't they? 99% of all the species that have ever existed on the planet Earth are extinct. And yet, the environmental people tell you that it's wrong that now remember, 99% of these are extinct, not because of man. We weren't even there for 75% of that, right? People didn't even exist, all right? But they want to say that we're the ones who are destroying the Earth. But you know what? It's called evolution. So when they try to, just protect this little fish in California that is causing this drought, folks, The environmental movement has serious political implications and economic implications for you, the listener. They're hurting you. They're killing jobs, and they're actually causing things like the drought in California. 1 trillion gallons of good water is being thrown into the ocean to protect this Delta smelt thing, okay? That money should be used by people, should be used by farmers. Do you know in California, they haven't built a single dam in like 23 years to help protect against droughts. That's what the environmental movement does. It's not about saving the planet. The planet takes care of itself very well, thank you very much. It's about destroying capitalism and business and your jobs and your life and making your energy prices higher and your car costs more and the materials to build your house costs more and your food costs more. It's a communist plan. It's on Stalin's birthday, Earth Day is, because it's being used to fool you and lie to you, just like gay marriages and all the other things that are attacking our institutions. And that's our next topic. So that's my rant about Earth Day. It's a bunch of BS. And any of you that believe it haven't done your research. The environmental movement is as phony as a $3 bill. They have nothing to do with saving the environment. It has with destroying America and promoting communism. That's my opinion. You can take it or leave it. This week, coming up on Monday, the coming week is going to be a big week because the Supreme Court is finally going to rule on the 6th District Court of Appeals ruling about gay marriage. And as usual, you can't get a straight, you can't get, things handled on the up and up, right? You always got, people, playing games. And of course, we have 2 Supreme Court justices, Kagan and Ginsburg, who basically are gay activists, all right, are gay activists. And the law says that, if you have a conflict of interest, you need to recuse yourself from, ruling on a case. If you're a judge and, let's say, your family owns a company that's being sued, you're a judge, you can't, be on that case, all right? That's the bottom line. Well, Ginsburg and Kagan have done gay marriages. They've presided over gay marriages, and they've advocated for it, folks. They haven't been just, like, my opinion is that gay marriage is okay. They've been out advocating for it. They've been promoting it, and they're going to vote on this case. So Ginsburg and Kagan are already, in the bag. And quite frankly, they have no morals. They have no integrity. They aren't Supreme Court judges. They're activists. And they have no business ruling on this case. But, of course, they're going to rule on this case, and we're going to have to deal with that, and we will deal with that. But here's the bottom line. This whole thing is about states' rights. It's not about gay marriage. This ruling is about whether states have the rights to determine what marriage is or whether the federal government does or, God forbid, whether judges do. Now, here's the situation in our country today, folks. The reality is that there are 3 states, Maine, Maryland, Washington, that have voted. The people have voted that they want gay marriage to be legal. There are 8 other states that their state legislature have said, that they think gay marriage is okay. And that's great, folks, because that's the Constitution says. But the bottom line is that there are 26 states that have been forced by activist district federal judges to have gay marriage thrust upon them, even though they have voted overwhelmingly. The people in those states have voted overwhelmingly to not support gay marriage. Okay? That's the facts. It's activist judges, and this is anti-constitutional. And that's really what the judge in the Supreme Court ruling, the 6th District Court of Appeals ruling, what he ruled on was that the federal government has no right to impose itself on us. Now, where did that come from? Well, it comes from primarily in 2013, there was a law that the federal government has passed. Bill Clinton signed it. Okay, it wasn't in 2013. In 1976, Bill Clinton signed it. It passed unanimously. The federal government said marriage is between a man and a woman. It was called DOMA, okay, the Defense of Marriage Act in 1996. In 2013, the Supreme Court threw that decision out. And they threw it out not because they were deciding whether gay marriage is right or wrong. They have no right to decide that. What they threw DOMA out is that they determined that the federal government had no right to impose upon the people in the states something like marriage, the definition of marriage. That's what the judge in the Ohio 6th District Court of Appeals ruled, and he was right about that. okay? And that's why if this Supreme Court ruling is based on law, there is no way that they can rule in favor of gay marriage. It's just simply against the law. The question is largely based on, the opinion is that, Judge Jeffrey Sutton in the 6th District Court of Appeals said, when the courts do not let the people resolve new social issues like this one, they perpetuate the idea that heroes in these changed events are judges and lawyers. Better in this instance that we think to allow change through the customary political process in which people, gay and straight alike, become the heroes of their own stories by meeting each other not as adversaries in court, but as fellow citizens seeking to resolve a new social issue in a fair-minded way. Here's what he's saying, that people have already voted. Gays have made their case in 8 other states, and really 11 other states, that this should be legal, and they have won. They have tried to make their case in 26 other states, and they have lost. It's a states' rights issue, okay? The other thing that you're going to find is that, the left in these activists are pushing an agenda, okay? And the agenda is very clear. The agenda is, everybody's for gay marriage. Well, there's a new poll out that came from the Family Research Council, and yes, the Family Research Council is against gay marriage, but it still is a verifiable poll. And 53% of all Americans agree that marriage should be defined as being between a union between one man and one woman. Right now, just done, 53% of you still believe that. 55% of men 18 to 54, but only 40% of women 18 to 54. I found that interesting. But overall, 53% of Americans believe that. The second thing they found is when you expand this to religious freedom issues, okay, it even gets larger, all right? 81% of people believe that Americans should be able to live according to their moral beliefs, which means that religious freedom trumps gay marriage. 81% of Americans say that. And finally, in the poll, it says 61% of Americans believe that this is a states' rights issue and should not be decided by the Supreme Court. And that's what we need to see done, and we hope that that will be the case. They will hear the hearing next Monday, but they will not rule probably until June, and this is really a big case. Okay, so now that's something you need to keep your eye on. Now, I want to, before the commercial break comes up here, I want to ask you to do me a favor. Okay, we're going to try something new here. I need you to grab your phone. If you're listening on Saturday and you're in a car, and have a person with you, have them grab their phone. Don't grab the phone if you're in the car. But first, I want to thank you for being a loyal listener to this show. We know that we have lots of listeners because we hear from many of you, and I see many of you at the events I promote. But we really don't have any idea of how many of you are actually listening because we don't get ratings on this station. I've been doing this show for 2 years, and people say, how many people listen to your show? I don't know because we don't get ratings for our weekend show. So we're going to try to do something about that. We're going to use some good old-fashioned American ingenuity. So first, we need to know how big our audience is so we can, grow it and get advertisers to support our show. So here's what I need you to do right now, okay? Grab your phone. This is only going to take 10 seconds. Now dial this number, 877-308-3305. When it answers, just push the button on your keypad for how many people are in the room with you right now or in the car listening to the show. That's it. It will take 10 seconds. That number is 877-308-3305. All I need all of you to do is dial it right now. I need you all to dial that number right now. I would really appreciate it. 877-308-3305. Thanks, and we'll be back after these commercial messages.
I'm Nick Skiriotis, president of SNK Asphalt and Concrete. As a Greek immigrant who came to America legally, my family and I have lived the American dream of freedom, hope, and opportunity. But that dream is fading due to an out-of-control federal government that is mixed up worse than a soup sandwich. We have a president who is putting more and more regulations on businesses, which is stomping economic and job growth. Government has taken more and more of our freedoms. They have taken over our health care and are trying to take over our schools with Common Core. We as Americans must wake up, Get involved before it is too late. We must fight to preserve the America our founders created, a nation that was founded on faith, family, and freedom. The fight is not easy, but anything worth fighting for never is. Our founders paid a heavy price for freedom. 5 of them did not live to see the independence they were fighting for. 9 of them were tortured. 12 of them lost everything they owned, and 3 of them lost their families. Now it is our turn to sacrifice and to fight to preserve our freedoms and the American dream. I am Nick Skiriotis, president of S&K Asphalt and Concrete, and I approve this message.
Fed up with politicians who care more about special interests than people on Main Street? So is Opportunity Ohio. We're working hard to solve Ohio's toughest challenges so Ohioans can create more jobs to grow our economy. See our plans and consider a tax-deductible contribution at opportunityohio.org. Invest $25 for a signed copy of Matt Mayer's book, The Founding Debate: Where Should the Power Over Our Lives Reside? Please visit opportunityohio.org.
All right, and we're back, and we thank you for listening to Tea Party Talk with Tom Z. Thank you for joining us. And we appreciate those of you who dialed the phone number 877-308-3305 so that we can try to get a measurement of what our audience size is. Thanks for doing that. I also want to thank you, for following along with me with the Supreme Court explanation, because it's important to all of us. States' rights. See, the bottom line, the whole reason for states' rights versus federal rights is to give you choice. Okay, we all have different opinions, and so if you want to be married and you're gay, then you can go to a state that has voted for gay marriage, and if you don't, you can live in a state that defines marriage between a man and a woman. That's the way the Constitution is supposed to work. The states were the laboratory for experiments, and eventually you'll see over history that things change. If indeed people think that gay marriage is a good thing, the states will adopt it. And you got to believe in that and believe in the system. But you don't jam it down our throats. You don't have activist judges telling you what you have to believe. That's what I'm talking about, and that's why you need to pay attention to this. Okay? So I just want to finish up on that. I want to thank all the people who came to the Ohio Liberty Coalition statewide meeting in Marysville on Saturday. It's great seeing all you guys there, and what a great turnout. The place was packed. So it's good to see all the patriots really involved and excited about that. At this, the Liberty Coalition meeting, we did a straw poll of presidential candidates, at least on the Republican side, and I want to share that with you because I thought it was insightful. It shows you where the Tea Party movement is at the moment. The person with the most votes was Ted Cruz. Ted Cruz got 39 votes. Scott Walker got 32. So those are the top two. Rand Paul dropped off quite a bit. He was at 11. And then from there, you got people like Ben Carson with 7 and Marco Rubio with 5. And Jeb Bush got 0. Okay, that's just kind of where we're at. So, that's kind of the presidential politics thing. And this week, our governor, John Kasich, and as you know, we are not big John Kasich fans, and we fought with the governor because we think he's betrayed us. He's not a Republican. He's not a conservative. He's a liberal, Democrat, big government, big spender. We're going to talk about that. But he claimed in his announcement, he was on Meet the Depressed, as we call it, on NBC this week, talking about his possibility of running for president. And he talked about, one of his big points was that he won Cuyahoga County by good. He won 86 of the 80 counties in a landslide election. Well, we've talked about that on this show, and that landslide election was as phony, as John Kasich's beliefs about Medicaid expansion. And so, I sent out a press release saying Kasich's claims about Cuyahoga County are misleading and factually inaccurate. And my point was that in Cuyahoga County, John Kasich only got 172,319 votes in his supposed landslide victory, but that was less than Mitt Romney got in Cuyahoga County in 2012, where he got 190,000 votes. And people say, oh, more people turn out in a presidential election than they do in a governor's election. And that's true. But if you're so popular, if your policies are so popular that you want a landslide and all these Democrats and independents are for you, John Kasich, which is what Cuyahoga County is primarily a Democratic county, then how come you didn't get as many votes as Mitt Romney? And and again, you can even compare that to his votes in Cuyahoga County in 2010. In 2010, John Kasich only received 148,000 votes in Cuyahoga County, and so he gained like 30,000 votes. Well, why did that happen? Well, he got 30,000 more votes in Cuyahoga County. You know why? Because he went to Cuyahoga County and he worked for the 16 mil Cleveland school levy, okay, to help the union there, and the union didn't campaign against him. And he took $4 billion of your money and mortgaged our turnpike and gave it to the unions in Northeast Ohio. $4 billion he gave to the unions in Northeast Ohio so they wouldn't campaign against him. He didn't win a landslide, folks. That deal was fixed. It was rigged, and John Kasich's a phony. Okay, it's just that simple. And and you can tell he's a phony because he's talking about things when he's on the TV about his foreign policy. He's trying to differentiate himself with Scott Walker, and he's talking about, well, I have foreign policy experience. John Kasich's foreign policy experience was in 1986, folks. There was no ISIS. None of the stuff that's going on. None of the actors on the world stage were in power. And John Kasich has no more foreign policy experience than Scott Walker. But I'll tell you what the difference is between John Kasich and Scott Walker. Let me do that. Both of them were elected in 2010 by the Tea Party sweep. We elected John Kasich before he turned his back on us. Walker in Wisconsin left police and fire out of their union reforms. John Kasich in Ohio refused to take the police and fire out of Ohio's SB 5 and did not veto the bill, despite Tea Party begging him and the Ohio Republican Party to take police and fire out because we knew it was a loser. Okay? He wouldn't do it. Walker raised $30 million for his fight against the unions. Kasich let the unions set the narrative. Your house will burn down because there will be no firemen to answer your call. Remember those ads during SB 5? And he pledged to raise the money to fight the fight, but then Kasich only raised $8 million. Walker raised $30 million. Walker's reforms in Wisconsin won at the polls, and their state has benefited because they now have workplace freedom. Kasich's reforms lost 63 to 66% to 33% in 2011. Walker continued to take on the unions and beat them twice more. Kasich not only never took on the unions again, he caved to them and gave them everything he wanted so he could win his quote-unquote landslide election. So the difference between Scott Walker and John Kasich is Scott Walker's a winner and John Kasich's a loser. Who would you rather have for your presidential candidate? So speaking of losers, we got to move on to the other big losers in our world. And I said in a show a little while ago that Bill and Hillary Clinton were two of the most despicable human beings in American history, and I doubled down on that. And what's going on right now is proof positive that these despicable people will do anything. So now we have this. You've been hearing about this whole problem with the Clintons having this foundation where they took $2 billion from foreign governments. Bill Clinton was getting $500,000 a speech, okay? But now there's this new book out called Clinton Cash. And yes, it's written by a Republican operative and a guy who works for Breitbart, but that doesn't change the facts. In this book, he points out that there was a quid pro quo, that foreign governments, for instance, a rich person in Canada and some Canadian people gave their foundation money, and Hillary Clinton, as Secretary of State, reversed the State Department's position on the Keystone Pipeline. Okay? Quid pro quo. There was the relief to Haiti that Hillary Clinton talks about. Oh, our foundation helps people in Haiti? Yeah, there was a donation from a big business person in Haiti to their foundation, and all the aid that the U.S. sent to Haiti, this guy benefited from. Folks, what's your definition of criminal activity? And then for Hillary Clinton to look you in the eye, and for the lamestream media, and for Democrats to tell you, oh, this is just politics. This is just the Republican Party playing politics. Politics? These are high crimes and misdemeanors. This is treasonous. Judge Napolitano was just on Fox last night saying that if the facts in this book are true, if there is a sequence of events where money came in and our government changed its policies to benefit those people who gave money to them, that requires a federal investigation by the Justice Department. Folks, if they don't do that, you don't live in America anymore because there's no rule of law, and Hillary Clinton is a queen. She rules over you. She's not you. You're not her equal. Is that the world you want to live in? Well, speak up and demand that she be brought to justice. Call the White House. President Obama is personally responsible. Why do you think Hillary's server destroyed her server now? You got a few clues on that now? Yeah, it wasn't just about Benghazi, was it? because her server, her illegal server, where she had all her State Department emails, would have had information about this foundation and these government donations and their policy decisions. She destroyed evidence. And people act like, well, it's not just politics. It's disgusting. It's illegal. These people need to go to prison. They need to go to prison. It's just that simple. And I've had enough, and I hope you've had enough. On things like we're having enough, for those of you watching on the video stream, on the archives at TeaPartyTalkWithTomZ.com or live, you'll see a chart that I just put up because there's a bunch of levies that are going to be on the ballot here at the primary coming up in May, just a few weeks away. Okay, and on this I put a chart up that talks about public school growth from 1950 to 2009. The number of students in our public schools have grown 96%. The number of teachers have grown 252%. But here's the worst part. The non-teaching staff, those assistant principals you got and assistant superintendents who make $125,000 a year when you're making $45 and $50 and $60? Yeah, since 1950 to 2009, the number of non-teaching staff has grown 702%, folks. 702%. So when they're asking you for that levy, when they're asking you to pass that levy, yeah, I think maybe you need to make a point to say, what about these staff that we don't need? Because that's really the issue. That's where the money's going, folks. It's not going to your kids. It's not making schools better. Our schools aren't better. Our schools are worse. Every statistic shows it, and Common Core is just another part of it, and we've got to start to fight that. I want to wrap up our show with a couple of announcements. The Portage County Tea Party will be having its monthly meeting on Tuesday, April 28th at 7 p.m. at Maplewood Career Center, which is at 7075 State Route 88, just north of Ravenna, Ohio. And I invite our listeners to come in and see what the Tea Party is all about. We're going to have a nice meeting that night. Come on by. We have the best hospitality committee in the country. You'll have coffee and cookies and cakes. The ladies do a great job. Come on by for that. I also want to bring to your attention that there's going to be a lobby day for voter ID put on by the Ohio Christian Alliance. And that is going to be on Wednesday, April 29th at 10 a.m. at the Ohio State House entrance. If you want to get involved with that, there's even buses leaving from Akron and other parts of the states. Go to ohioca.org, www.ohioca.org, and go down there and lobby our House members and our Senate members to pass voter ID because it's the right thing to do. You shouldn't be able to vote in this country unless you can prove you're a citizen. And, folks, your water bill doesn't do it. It just doesn't do it. The last thing I want to bring to your attention is if you could mark your calendar for Sunday, May 3rd. That's coming up. Boy, can you imagine? May's almost here. The Geauga County Tea Party will be hosting a fundraiser called Fiddle for Freedom at the Word of Grace Church in Geauga County. This concert will be a fundraiser for their new Liberty Camp. They're starting a Liberty Camp this year, just like the Portage County Tea Party has, and they're trying to raise some money for that. So go to GeaugaCountyTeaParty.com for details and to get your tickets. Okay? It's a great event, and the Liberty Camp, boy, is our Liberty Camp at Portage County taken off. If you want to learn about that, go to Liberty Camp for Kids on the web or go to our Facebook page, Liberty Camp for Kids. We are joining up with the Boy Scouts and the 4-H clubs. And, man, last year we served like 120 kids. This year we're going to serve like 400 kids. It's unbelievable. If you have children, from grades 1st or 6th grade, you got to send them to the Liberty Camp for Kids. Go to libertycampforkids.com and sign them up because it's the best camp going. I want to tell you, we just can't fulfill the need. And if you want to help with the Liberty Camp for Kids, go to the Facebook page and you can actually click on a link and send us an email because we are looking for reenactors and people to help out with that. So if you want to get involved with that, please do. Thanks for joining me on Tea Party Talk with Tom Z. I hope you'll come back next week, and I hope, again, you learn some things that you didn't know from other sources. Thanks again. We'll see you next week.
This is former State Representative Matt Lynch inviting you to join me for Common Sense Conservative Conversation each Wednesday evening at 6:30 p.m. on How I See It. You can listen live or listen to the podcast anytime, 24/7 at mattlynch.com. Each week I am joined by my daughter Karen Quay on a rhino hunt as we separate the phonies from the real conservatives who are willing to stand up for faith, family, and freedom. We challenge the politically correct politicians who say one thing to get your vote, then do another once they are in office. 2015 is a new year, But too many of our politicians didn't get the message that business as usual in Washington is no longer acceptable. If our representatives in Congress are too scared or too weak to speak up, then we must raise our voices and demand they fight back against the liberal loonies. Never forget that we, the voters, are in charge, and we are the masters of our government, and we cannot let politicians ever forget it. So listen in every Wednesday at 6:30 p.m. or anytime at mattlynch.com. I'm Matt Lynch, and that's how I see it.